Javi. All right, so Javi's going to give us a buyer presentation. Anush's listing presentation is going to be on the 22nd. Javi, we're going to pick it up from we're sitting down, and I'm going to keep it nice and short so you can keep it nice and tight, because you guys should be shooting for, 40 minutes is okay. I'm not going to talk much because I want you to get through showing us what you're doing with the presentation. You're going to do it just like it's real, like no pretending. This is real. I don't know if you're going to want to share your screen or not. Okay. Well, let me say one thing. Anush, if you want to also share, create visuals that you want to share
I do.
with
Yeah, I have.
presentation, then let's do that. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. When you're ready, Javi, I'm the buyer. And do you want me to be a certain personality type, specific objections?
Just bring me whatever objection you maybe assigning. I don't know.
Okay. Let's roll.
Signing the agreement, but let's just pretend that I already know. I pre-qualified you already.
Hmm.
So, Pauly, I appreciate your time coming over. It's
Yeah.
a pleasure. It's a pleasure meeting you. How you
Yeah.
doing?
Great. Thanks. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely, man. So here's what we're gonna go over today. We're gonna go over what the process look like. We're also gonna go over what the market is doing and what that means for you. Uh, we're also gonna go over what you can expect from me in this process. And then if you like everything that I say, we're gonna go over what we need to do to work together. Does that sound fair?
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Perfect. So before I start this, I want to ask you: do you have any questions or concerns about the process, or anything that I should
Um,
be mindful of?
no, I mean, not off the top of my head. I mean, the market's a little weird, so I'm just interested to see what you say about the market
Okay. When you say the market is weird, what do you mean by that?
with the interest rates and, seems like there's a little bit of volatility in the economy. So, I'm not really sure what's going on with the market. This is why I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay. So the interest rates are the main concern. Okay. I'm gonna make sure I come back to that. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. So when we spoke earlier, you have mentioned that you were looking for a property that has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. You wanted to stay close to the Winter Haven area. Now, is there anything else that I should be mindful of?
No, I think you pretty much got it all.
Perfect. Okay. So here I'm gonna show you something, right?
Mhm.
So that you can see. This is called. Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is called the MLS, the Multiple Listing Service.
Okay.
So this is the main source for all the properties that you're going to see on Zillow, Redfin, Homes.com. All
Okay.
those properties come from here. Now,
Hmm.
here's the thing, right? This is as good as the information we put in. So this has no emotion. So I say less is more when it comes to these things. So I'm gonna keep it simple with the 3 bedrooms and two bathrooms that you're looking for, and then from there I'm gonna create a list for you. Now, something
Okay.
cool about this system is that you're gonna have advantage from Zillow and Redfin because you're gonna be able to get those properties before they even hit those websites. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
yeah, that sounds good.
Also another cool thing that you cannot see in Zillow and Ref and all these websites is that this allows me to have access to off-market properties. So as you can see, temporarily
Oh,
off-market, cancel, withdrawn. So these are properties that already
oh.
left the market. So in the event that we don't find anything, in the market, and we cannot find anything, I can always look at and look at off-market properties and track down the seller and see if we can
Mm-hmm.
get you a deal. How does
Mm.
that sound?
That sounds great. I hadn't heard of that before.
Awesome. So yeah. So I'm gonna set up that search. What I'll do is I'll send it over when our meeting is over, and from there, just give me feedback on those properties. If there's anything you want me to change, just feel free to do that. That way, I can
Okay.
learn about your tastes and preferences.
Okay.
Now, you had mentioned, that the reason you wanted to make this move is because you wanted to get closer to your mom down here in Winter Haven. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, she's getting a little bit older, so I just want to look after her and be there for her. And um, I think that it's going to be important for me to just be close by.
Oh, okay. So it's all about caring for your mother in this stage of age. Okay. And ultimately, if you were able to do that and get closer to your mother down here in Winter Haven, what would that do for you?
Well, honestly, it's just my sister's down here, but she travels a lot for her job. So that's what's important about being here is that she doesn't get constant care and she doesn't need constant care, but I just need to be there more. Someone needs to be there more often.
Okay.
So I need, moving closer is kind of a big deal.
Oh, I hear you, man. It sounds like, even though you have a sister, she needs more, your mom needs more attention, more caring, and then you're going to be the one to do that for her. Is that right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. And, what happens if you don't make this move?
Well, I mean, I have to. I mean, I'm going to. So, I mean, it's not really a choice. I mean, it's definitely going to happen.
Okay, so it needs to happen. Okay, so let's make it happen. So now I'm gonna explain what the process look like. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions along the way. So here's what's going to happen. The first step is usually the pre-approval. So what's going to happen is we're going to go to different banks. I'm going to share you some options. You don't have to work with them, but I usually recommend them because they have the lowest interest rates and the best numbers for clients. But you're more than welcome to shop around and see who can get you the best deal. What's going to happen is you're going to do an application. You're going to submit all your documentation, and from there we're going to verify not only how much you qualify for, but what type of loan do you qualify for, and you as a first time home buyer, you have benefits, lower down payment, lower interest rate. So we're going to be able to look at those, and from there you're going to decide which lender you're going to work with. Now, here's the thing when it comes to here's the thing when it comes to pre-approval. They're usually good for about 4 months before you have to renew all your documentation. So in 4 months, most people find their home. But if anything, you have about 4 months to make the whole process happen and find a home. Does that sound fair?
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. If there's a property, let's say you go on Zillow or Facebook or on the internet and you don't see it on my list, it could mean two things, right? It can mean one, it doesn't have something that you told me that you're looking for, or two, it might not qualify for financing. Because
Okay.
the purpose of the pre-approval is that not only we know exactly what you qualify for, but we need to make sure that the property that you're targeting qualifies for financing, because not all properties do.
Okay.
So just be mindful of that, okay? And now I can always double check on my end, but that's the purpose of the pre-approval. So here's what's gonna happen. Once you get that letter saying like, "Hey, Pauly,"
Why are you on so much credit card debt? Why are you so
So,
much credit card debt?
yeah, here's what's gonna happen. So once we have that letter from the bank saying, "Hey, Pauly, you're pre-approved for $300,000," what we're gonna do is we're gonna come out and look at some properties. I usually recommend that you select about 3 to 5 properties that you truly, truly love, and the ones that you might call home, and then just give me about 24 hours just so that I can set up the showings and get you more information on them. So if you see a property and you want to come out and look at them on Saturday, just by Friday, let me know which properties you want to target and go see. Fair enough?
okay, that sounds good.
Perfect. Perfect. So let's say we are at the property and we start the showings and you tell me, Javier, I think this is the one I like, this is the one I want to call home. So what's going to happen from there is we're going to write what's called an offer. It is a purchase agreement, right? In there, we're going to put the price, we're going to put the dates and all the other terms in which we're going to abide for you to be the new owner. So usually here in Florida, from the time that you make an offer and the seller accepts it to the time that you close and I give you your keys is about 30 to 45 days. So let's say you found a property today. Today is October 8th. You most likely be closing on that property by November 8th. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just keep in mind that closing days are fluid. What's going to happen then? The seller can either accept your offer or they can counter it and say, "Hey, you know what? I don't like those numbers. Here's my counter offer." From there, we're going to be negotiating with the seller until we're all in agreement. Then from there, we're going to go to what's called under contract. When that happens, two main things are going to happen. The first one is you're going to make a deposit of escrow deposit. It's usually to assure the seller that you're serious about buying the property. So it's usually about 1% of the purchase price. So if you're looking at 300,000, it's going to be about 3,000. Now, the good thing is I can always negotiate that so that it's only maybe $1,000. And that money is usually part of your down payment. So if your total down payment, let's say, is $9,000 and you put $1,000 up front, on closing date, you only have to bring the remaining eight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. After that, that happens within the first 3 days. After that, what's going to happen is we're going to have about 7 to 10 days to do what's called the inspection period. What happens there is we're going to hire an inspector, which I work with one of the best here in Central Florida, which most agents don't want to work with them because he's so detailed oriented that sometimes buyers get scared and they cancel the deal. And most agents don't want to do that because it messes up their deal. I don't mind. I'd rather you know exactly what you're getting into or cancel the deal, or I want you to feel comfortable with the home that you're getting into.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah, that's fair.
depending on the size of the home. And then from there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get that report, and then from there, if there's anything that need to be fixed or repaired, we can negotiate with the seller. What can we negotiate with the seller? We can negotiate repairs. We can negotiate price. Or say you tell me, Javier, I think this is a minor thing I can fix it myself. Just have a discount, I don't know, $1,000 off the price, or we can negotiate concessions. So this is credit or money for you for your closing costs or repairs or anything. So this is money from the seller. Concessions. What are concessions, right? So every time you buy a house, you're gonna have two main costs, which is your down payment, which in your case is 3.5%, and then closing costs and prepaids. That's usually about 2 to 5% of the purchase price. And the cool thing about concessions is that that money we can always negotiate with the seller to cover for that. So let's say your closing costs are $8,000. You remember how we said we're gonna write an offer?
Mm-hmm.
So in that offer, I can say, hey, set it to credit $8,000 to Pauly for his closing costs and prepaids. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So during those 7 days, what we're gonna do is we're negotiating back and forth with the seller, not only so that you know exactly what you're getting into, but two, so that you get the best out of the negotiations. They say we negotiate and you're comfortable with the property and you decide to move forward. Then after that, you're gonna go from pre-approved to approved. So in that time frame, you're gonna be working hand to hand with your lender to making sure that all your documentation is up to date and that they're ready to give you the money. So with that being said, just be very, very mindful on with your finances during that time frame. So please do not open new credit cards. Don't go buy a new car. Don't go buy furniture. Don't go to IKEA and buy $20,000 worth of furniture because you're gonna have the furniture but not the home.
Yeah.
So just be very mindful of that. Look, if you want to do anything of that sort, I'll go with you. Take me with you in the car. Just do it after I give you the keys and you close.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Then after that, the bank is going to order their appraisal. They're going to make sure that what you're paying for the property is actually what the home is worth. And if everything checks off and everything makes sense, a day before closing or a couple days before closing, we're going to go and do a final walkthrough on the property. We're going to make sure that if we requested repairs, that they're done to your standard, and that let's say they didn't take their refrigerator with them, and make sure that the home is good and sound for you to be the new owner. And when you give me the thumbs up and tell me, Javier, this is the home is good, then we're gonna go to the title company maybe the next day, and you're gonna send a stack of papers like this, and then you're gonna be the new homeowner. I'm gonna give you your keys, and we're gonna celebrate.
Okay.
So it's a simple process. This just has a lot of steps, and me and my team, which also have a transaction coordinator, her name is Katie. She's going to handle the transaction from A to C once we go under contract. So our job is to make sure that you are, we hold your hands all the way until closing. Now, something cool that is happening about the market. I know you mentioned that you're concerned about the interest rates. So interest rates are actually going down. We just had a 9-month low in the interest rate. But something cool that is happening in Winter Haven is that we have about 5-6 months of inventory. Do you know what that means?
No, I don't.
So what that means is, in the event that no homes were to go on the market starting today, it would take about 6 months to sell all the homes that are available on the market today. So with that being said, that's a lot of homes available for you as a buyer. Actually, we just hit I think 7-year high in inventory. I think there's more homes that they've been since 2019. So what that means for you is that these homes need to compete with each other in order to sell, because they need to be attractive for buyers like yourself. So how do they get attractive for buyers? They do that by reducing the price, which is what's happening here in Winter Haven, or they do that by offering concessions, or maybe a mix of both. So in the event that, right, let's say you find a property that hasn't been able to sell, and we make an offer, I can definitely negotiate closing costs for you or concessions, and maybe it already has a price reduction. So if you want a property with a discount, this is the market for you to buy it at.
Interesting. You think the market's going down though?
In this area, yes. Based on the data and based on what's happening, it is a little bit, it is colder, right? So right now, if you wanted to get a deal, this is the market to make that happen. Now the market can always shift, especially with interest rates coming down. So if that were to happen, always change our strategy, and because at that point, then there's more buyers coming to the market, and then from there we'll have to strategize on how to get the best deal while you still get the home. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And let me tell you a quick story, right? I have a buyer that she's supposed to close tomorrow, and not only did we get her or her closing costs paid for, because I noticed that the property had been on the market for quite a while, but when the appraisal came in, she had about $15,000 in equity. So not only did she get her closing costs paid for, she had money up front of the property
Hmm,
without even living in the home.
that's interesting.
This is what's happening in this market.
Okay.
So let's say right before, and let's say we are looking at homes, and for the homes that you're interested in, what I'm going to be doing for you is that I'm going to do what's called an analysis on those properties. I'm going to I'm going to see what's happening in that neighborhood, and when it comes to prices, because if the property is listed at 300,000, but I see a comparable right next door that sold last month for 280, I'm going to advise you, and say, hey, we could offer a little bit less because the market is dictating that this property is worth 280, not 200, depending on conditions and size. So I'm gonna make sure on my end that the homes that you like, you get the best deal. I'm gonna be making sure, looking at the data and what happened, so that you make the best offer.
Okay.
Is that
That sounds
is that
great.
cool?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, that sounds great.
perfect. Now, did that answer your questions about the market, or do you still have any other questions when it comes to that?
No, I'm just, I am wondering though that maybe to wait till spring, because if the market's going downwards a little bit, then maybe market the prices will come down a little bit, and if I bought in February or March, I can get a property even cheaper.
I can understand. So what you're saying is you want to buy at the lowest price possible. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing, and I can understand, I can appreciate you telling me that, but the spring market is usually tend to be the hottest of the market. So it's usually when the market shifts and there's more buyers in the market. So what could happen is if you wait until that market, is that you competed with other buyers for a property, and then at that point, I cannot guarantee that you get, the lowest price possible or even concessions for you to buy your home. The market is a beast of its own, and we cannot predict where it's going to go, especially with interest rates coming down. How would it make you feel if we waited until springs and now the market shifted back into a seller's market and now you're overpaying for a property?
I would like that.
You wouldn't like that.
No,
Exactly. So,
no.
it's okay. At the end of the day, this is your decision. But if you want to buy a property at a discount, the data and the market is telling us that in Winter Haven, this is what's happening. And if you want a discount on the property, then I wouldn't wait if I were you. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So, and also, I know you mentioned the interest rate, the interest rates coming up and down. You know how I mentioned concessions?
Yeah.
What we could do with those concessions actually is that we can actually buy down the interest rate. So if the lender is offering you 6%, we can actually get you to a 5.5,
Mm,
depending on what they're offering. So there's a way that we can get the seller to pay for your interest rate to be lower. Now, would that
mhm.
be of value to you?
Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. In
Yeah.
a market where there's more buyers in the market and now we're competing with offers, that's very rare that we can make that happen, if we can make that happen at all.
Okay. All
Now,
right. That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. Now, do you have any questions about the process or the market up to this point?
Not so far. You've been pretty thorough.
I love that. So, do you have a question on how compensation works? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't 100% sure. Is that something, how does that work?
I'm glad that we're having this conversation because most agents don't go through this. So the way compensation works is that just like concessions and in the offer, we're going to negotiate it with the seller. Commissions are 100% negotiable, and it is 3%. So you remember how I said we're going to write an offer?
Mm-hmm.
So in that offer, we're also going to put the seller to pay my commission. Now, in a market like this, where we are in Winter Haven and houses are sitting, sellers are begging buyers to go buy their homes. So if I'm able to bring you to a home where the seller needs to sell, they usually have money set aside for commission because that's the incentive that they give us for bringing them a buyer and helping them sell their home. So in the best case scenario, we request a full commission from the seller, and the seller pays for that, and you don't have to pay out of pocket for my commission.
Okay.
So
Right.
that's how it usually works. Now I want to go over, maybe worst case scenario because it could happen, right? Let's say we go to a home and you like the home, and you tell me, Javier, this is the one that I want, and and we submit an offer and we request 3%. And let's say the seller doesn't want to pay the 3%, and sometimes it's not that they don't want to, sometimes it's that they can't, going through a divorce or something is happening that they cannot compensate for the full commission, and they say, oh, I'm gonna pay you only 2.5%. I'm still going to try to get that half a percentage from them so that they can pay for the full 3%. But in the event that the seller cannot compensate the full amount, and that's the home that you want, only at that point, that half percentage will be part of your closing cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Other than,
what would that look like as far as amount?
oh, so your numbers, guys. So am I,
Yeah.
right? So in the event that you're looking at a property at 300,000, and they're only paying 2.5%, and you have to pay for the half percentage, that'll be only $1,500 more to your closing cost. But
Okay.
my goal is to negotiate that from the seller. And if we can get you concessions and repairs and all of that, then you get to see where those $1,500 go towards. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So other than that, the brokerage LPT has a fee of $300. That's to handle your transaction from A to C, and that you pay at closing. That's part of your closing cost. Other than that, I don't get paid. If you decide that you don't qualify, you don't get paid. Or if you decide that you want to wait until the springs, I don't get paid. I only get paid at closing when I hand you your keys. I'm gonna be doing all this work up front without getting compensated.
Okay.
So did I cover the compensation part? Are you?
Yeah,
How,
that's
how do
good.
you?
I
How
understand.
do you? Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfect. So how do you feel about everything that I covered so far?
I feel good. Yeah, it makes sense, and I'm comfortable with it.
If we find a home within the next 90 days, would you be open to making an offer?
Yeah, I would.
It's all about okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about how do you feel about me? Do you think you and I are the right fit to fight to make this happen?
Yeah, I definitely think that you presented a lot as far as how you can bring value and help me save money and get a good deal. So, yeah, I think so.
So you're ready to get started, huh?
Well, let me sleep on it, and and then I can call you tomorrow.
No, I definitely understand that you need to sleep on it, but just that I know what you exactly need to think about. Is it me that you need to think about as far as committing?
No, I think you've been pretty good, been pretty thorough with your material and your presentation.
Okay. Was there anything that I missed that you probably heard from somebody else that I should have covered that I haven't?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay, so when you say that you need to think about it, what is it specifically that you need to think about before you decide
Well,
to move forward?
the uh how much time, like the commitment, I guess, like I just don't want to get tied up into a contract for a long period of time. But like,
Absolutely.
yeah, with you.
Absolutely. I wouldn't want to be tied down to a realtor, especially if things aren't working out. This is an important transaction, possibly one
Right.
of the most important transactions you're ever going to make. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree.
Now, here's the thing, right? If you sign this agreement today and you find that I'm not the right fit, and tomorrow you wake up and you think that I'm the worst realtor ever, we can always come back to the contract and cancel it. I wouldn't want to tie you up with me because if we get to the point that you don't feel comfortable working with me, that means I haven't done my job correctly.
Okay, that's fair.
Is that fair? Okay, perfect. So
Yeah, that's fair.
is there anything else stopping us from working together right now?
No, I think that's it.
Perfect. Awesome. So what happens next is we need to have what's called a buyer broker's agreement signed, which is this document. All it says is not only I'm representing you in the same way a lawyer will represent you in court, that I need to look out for your best interest. I cannot discriminate or lie to you. And it also talks about the 3% that I just covered, the $300 transaction fee that I mentioned. but it also talks that, you know, you and I are working together to make this happen, and that you're completely committed to me. And if you decide to cancel, or you, as I said, you wake up tomorrow and say that you and I are not a fit, then we can always come back to that and make a cancellation. Is that
Okay,
fair enough?
that's fair. Yep.
Fair enough. So let's do it. Here's the pen.
All
So just
right.
sign here, 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 here. I feel like I've rushed it, man. Very script.
No, no, no. I didn't.
I,
It did not feel rushed. It did not feel
I
rushed.
I go a lot. I go a lot in depth. You know, I usually talk about more about the difference in financing, down payment
Mm,
assistance, and how it will look.
mm.
You know, if you got down payment assistance, your credit allowed it. You know, and I got your closing costs, and you could technically buy a property with little to no money down out of pocket. So I go a little bit deeper, just for the sake of time, and I decided to go and explain the main points, because I even
Yeah,
time
yeah.
myself.
I'm gonna write down a note. You made me think of something. Um, no, no, that was good. And I think that uh, that's good to go over. I think for the point of the presentation, you did a good job with keeping it tight. Let me give you a couple good points here that I saw. So first of all, you speak real well. Like your ability to like speak confidently and comfortably, and it causes your flow to go and to really to be fluent and to be fluid. There's like a lot of fluidity. Like your flow is good, right? And your flow is good because you're fluent. Like you've already spent a lot of time figuring out what to say. I can tell you've put in time with figuring out what to say, and it shows, man. It shows on your response to questions, to objections. Like I'm hearing a lot of skill study. False or true?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
do.
and it shows, bro. It shows. Like your confidence and your flow is excellent. And you did a lot of you did a lot of good tie downs there. You know, there was a lot of tie downs to make sure that do you understand? Does that make sense? Do you like that? To keep me engaged. It wasn't overly done, but it was done consistent, which was important because I want to make sure that they're receiving what I'm projecting, and that it's important that there's exchange, and I just don't sit there and yappity yap too long, right? I think I would have, no, I'm going to save that till later. I'm going to say all the good stuff, and then I'll coach you at the end. Went through the prequel, talking about what my situation was, what my motivation was. I loved how you dig deeper. Not many people do that. So what's important about that? What's that do for you? Not many people do that. And you kind of really, you prompted that. Like, tell me a little bit more about that, because we hear them say stuff and then we start making judgments on like how important it is or how it makes sense. Get them to talk about it. Like when you start getting them to talk about emotional things or about significant things, that's when the look, relationship goes from here to here, right? You get them to talk about those things. So what's that do for you? What's important about that? And I said it and it sounded important. I got to take care of my mom. Right there, people are like, "Oh, taking care of your mom's important." And that's really good. And then you made me talk about it. That was fantastic. Really, really good job with that. Great job on shrinking the world with the MLS. That's part of mine, where we take a look at the MLS, and I'll even deduct it down, Javier, where I'll go like, all right, let's see how many bedrooms, 3 bedroom, 2 bathrooms, Winter Haven under 150. And I'll go 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. How many? Boom. How many in this general area? Boom. How many at this price point? Boom. And I'll just like deduct it down, and then we get to a number that we go, look how that happened. We went from 5,000 to 5. And
Okay.
I let them see how it deducts down so that they can see for themselves just how many are there, because they don't know. They don't know. They don't have any idea. So when you shrink the world that way, it really gives them awareness with like, wait a minute, there's not 5,000 homes for me to look at. There's 10. We're not going to look at them right now, right? But like I shrink it down real quick, because even in that moment, maybe Javier, here's why else it's important is you might get there and you're like, wait a minute, this is not going to work. There's none. Okay, so what do we need to adjust here?
Hmm.
Area, criteria, like what do we need to adjust? Price point, what do we need to adjust? Because that might be something to look at. Okay, outstanding job explaining the process. You can tell you're super comfortable with that. You said you could go deeper on that. That's fine. But you did a really good job talking about the banks and the time frame and Zillow. I think you could have talked about how don't pay attention to Zillow, pay attention to me. That was your opportunity to go like, no more Zillow, no more Zillow, like nicely, right? Like, okay, you said it. You said all the listings come from here that go to Zillow. You said that. Now nail it down. So we don't need Zillow. I'm going to give you where Zillow gets all their information. I'm going to give you direct access. So we don't need the internet or Zillow anymore. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So you promise me you're going to look at my list and not look online? I might actually go that hard on them to like get them to commit to like stop looking around online. Okay, so you talked about like, oh yeah, if you see those things that you see properties there that you didn't see on my list, then it was something with the criteria. But then you kind of left that door open that, well, maybe they could continue to look at that. Like if you see that, no, you don't want to see that anymore. Look at my stuff because that's where all the stuff is, and don't look
Okay.
at Zillow anymore. So close that door right there. Okay, trust me, people start sending you stuff again. You're like, crap, I should have talked about that and closed it. Highlight on the inspections, explaining all that, highlighted concessions, financing, you went into all that. Good job going deeper on that. A real good job on talking about taking a look at the comps, providing value that we're going to look at the comps. I'm going to do my homework. How do you feel about that? You know, is that maybe even, I think you did a lot of good tie downs. Maybe elevate the quality of your tie downs or what other questions you could ask. Is that the
Okay.
type of agent that you'd see value in? Have you seen this, anybody talk about this before? Like something to like really, besides, does that make sense? Do you like that? Is that good? Okay, good. You're getting some agreement, but now take it to another level and go, have you ever seen anybody talk about this before? No, you haven't? Okay, look how awesome I am, right? Or how do you feel about that? You did a couple thinksy feelsies. You did a couple of those. So just pay a little bit more attention on like how you might be able to elevate those questions throughout, outside of just simple tie downs, which you did a good job with. Compensation, great job on going into that. And I really liked your explanation with it. I liked talking about how you're going to get it and then double down on, hey, look, I'm going to try to get it. But also talking about that if there's an opportunity, a possibility that it doesn't happen, because I think we need to be real with that if we're being responsible and getting them to sign buyer rep agreements with 3% compensation, right? Or whatever compensation you decide to use, okay? I'm going to work without pay, you know, again, layering value on like what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it and the level I'm going to do it. You did that real well throughout. And then reminding them that, hey, look, I'm trying to get the best deal for you because I don't get paid till I get closed. So I'm going to be motivated to do a good job for you. Great job with that. One coaching point would be on the top. That pre-qual, I think you could probably go deeper on. You kind of skated over a little, like you went quickly over it versus like if you're really pre-qualing, then you have a real pre-qual and go over it. Because you kind of skated over the whole thing generally, which wasn't bad, it was good. But like that's your opportunity to deepen relationship right there and to talk a little bit more. And yeah, your presentation goes a little bit longer, but like I want to talk again about, you said blah 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 and you said blah 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 and you said you know, your time frame and you talked about your parents and you're talking about what you wanted and you like just really dig into that more, because that's your opportunity to start the conversation at the top end, letting them know like, hey, I really listened to you and what you said is really important to me. Like that's what's being conveyed there. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So go a little bit deeper on the pre-qual would be my recommendation. Okay. Overall, pretty good. Pretty good. I'll give you an A. That was an A. That was an A. Jazz hands
What do you think
for,
what do you think would have made it a 10? I want 10.
you want 10? A plus? Yeah, I'll give you that was a 9, bro. That was a 9. That was a 9. You know, 10's perfection. 10, the pre-qual, you know, going a little bit deeper on the pre-qual. And I mean, you were real close, man. Like that was a very good presentation. I loved your energy. I loved your tonality. I loved your flow. You were getting engagement with some of those tie downs. You could have asked those tie down questions a little bit differently to like just go a little bit deeper with it and get a little bit more engagement. But for the purpose of a role play, that was an excellent role play. That was outstanding. That was really, really good. Just a couple of those little things. Very good. Any questions or comments for Javier? Raise your hand. Questions or comments, Anush?
Yeah. I've never done a buyer consultation before. I did like a role play with my coach Vince few times, and that was about it. So he mentions like to make a connection, to make a rapport more than just give them a lot of information. I thought it was like too much for the buyer to handle during the consultation. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's correct or no, but I would
Yeah.
use that's my opinion. I think it was kind of like a little bit too fast. Like it was kind of, I felt kind of rushed if I was a buyer, you know. But other
Hmm.
than that, it was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So for sure, like as a D, I was fine with it because D's like to move, right? Now,
Yeah.
Anush is more, did you say you are S? I don't remember. Do you know your personality type?
Not sure.
Not sure. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're either S or C. I can't tell. I don't know you well enough. But
What's the S and C? I don't remember.
D is more analytic. S is more
Okay.
amiable, more
Yeah,
friendly.
S probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I knew it, right? Because S's are slow,
Yeah.
right? S's and C's are slow. D's and I's are fast. So knowing your personality type would be important because for me, that felt totally fine. Javi, I think you're S too, aren't you? No? What are
ID.
you? High D? Okay, because you're like, oh, I felt kind of rushed. Like that didn't feel rushed to me because I'm a high D. So I don't mind the speed, right?
I love
But
to
you're
do it that way, but I usually slow it down because I understand that not everybody likes that.
Yeah.
So I slow it down on purpose.
100%, 100%. Know your personality style, right? For sure. But yes, he did go a little fast through that and he was running through some of that, which for the purpose of the role play is
Right.
fine. But I do agree, Anush and Javi, you've already expressed that you pay attention to that and you have awareness with that. So all good, all good. Um, said something on the front end too. Yeah. So the getting to know them, having more rapport with them, that's where the pre-qual comes in. Because I love one more thing you did. I forgot to say you did really well. You talked about what you were going to talk about. Right at the top, you're like, okay, here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about this and this and this, and then you went into the pre-qual. So going deeper into the pre-qual would have helped with some of that rapport. But you don't listen. You're not rapport is good, but you got to touch and go on rapport. Like, don't stay in rapport too long at all. Like seconds, a minute or less. Like you're not talking about shit that's not relevant. Like you're talking about stuff that like matters. Both have shih
Unless,
tzus.
unless it's an S.
Unless it's in no, well, you're not you're still not staying there too long. Like
But they want a hug at least at some point.
yeah, well, you're gonna like talk about like how like beautiful their decor is for the eyes and like the friendly you talk about our families and blah blah blah. Like yes, but be very careful because
Mhm. You
if
can
you
spin out.
the problem is that they'll like that, but the longer you spend there, then the less effective you are on the professional side of like execution of what needs to be done. Because then they get real comfortable and then you're trying to go in to get what needs to be done, which is understanding or execution, and then now you're too friendly.
That's my problem.
Still a problem.
Hmm.
Still a problem. So that stuff's good, important, but be very careful with that because you're not trying to be their friend, you're trying to be their professional. Okay. And look,
Yeah.
get caught up in it sometimes. And what happens is inefficiency is what happens. Okay. And then you have those people that are like, yeah, well, that's how I do my business. Yeah, well, you do 12 transactions a year.
Right.
Well, yeah, here's another one, right? Yeah, you've been stuck at 30 transactions for 10 years. And you're complaining about like, listen, trust me, I'm not like this capitalist pig, right? Like all of us could use more money. Okay. And like, there's reasons why we want to grow and why we want more, right? More isn't always better. I'm not saying that, but I'm like saying like the whole reason we're engaging stuff like this is because there's more to be had and for good reason. For my kids, for my retirement, for my health, for yada yada, fill in the blank. And that's why it's important is that just being friendly only gets you so far. And this isn't just about me. It's about more than me, which means there's more to be had. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, any other comments or questions?
It was really great. I liked how you didn't let him go sleep on it. So you really came back in and that was a good not rebuttal, but yeah, you asked more questions of, well, what do you need to think about? What did I not tell you? So that was really good.
Did you feel comfortable with that, Janice, as far as like how we did it?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Cause you're feelsy, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm
the energy around that, the tonality and like,
well, first, because I'm very ID, so I do not want to sign any contracts, and that is exactly what I would say. I'd be like, oh, I gotta think about this. This is too much. I can't commitment fear. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I could be signing up for $1 million and be like, oh, there's something I'm not seeing. So yeah, I would have been taken back for a second when I was confronted with, no, I can't just walk away. But I kind of need that. So.
yeah, we got to go in and swing at it.
Mhm.
And what happens when we don't practice or we're not talking about it is like we let them get away with stuff. And not that you're going to get every one, but like there's some to be had. And we weren't responsible professionals. We weren't responsible professionals to like get in there and go, what's going on here? So what are you really thinking? So how are you really feeling? And it's not about convincing, it's about sorting. Again, Mike, right? Again, like it's not about convincing, it's about sorting. Like, okay, hold on. Like, let me stop trying to convince somebody of something and let me sort out like what are you thinking? Like, how are you feeling? And then Mike, when I'm not trying to even at the close, when I'm not trying to convince, when I'm trying to understand and I'm asking real good questions and exploring risks and exploring rewards, then through good questions, then the connection happens. And then they go, okay, yeah, all right, I understand. Good point. Sign the contract here.
I have a question. So do you recommend like getting in front of the objections like before they ask, telling them, if you don't want to work together after like a month, we can just say goodbye and get rid of the contract?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. Personally, my opinion is that um, yes, yeah. Getting ahead of the punch, right? Throwing punches before they do, addressing objections before they're even brought up. Like, Mike Ferry taught me this a long time ago. He goes, an amazing presentation can handle all objections before they're even given.
yeah.
That's
Pauly,
a big task, but yes, Javi.
Pauly, when I said, what do you think when I said, hey, do you have any questions or concern about the process before I even started? And then I wrote it down and then I came back to it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually wrote that down. Is that I love for listing or presentation. Hey, what's going to be important to you, or what questions that you have? I love that for seller or buyer presentation, and I love that you said I'm going to write that down, and I definitely want to come back to that. Yeah, I think that's really really big because people I think sometimes don't feel heard, especially when you're vomiting all this information over them. And and which is part of the reason why the questions to keep exchange are important is that I need you to understand that what you say is important and I'm paying attention. Part of what the pre-call is why the pre-call is so important. Like what you're saying is important and I want to understand and I want to address your thoughts and feelings. 100%. Yeah, that was good. That was really good. Okay. What else?
I usually like during the list before the listing presentation, I tell them, if at any point during the conversation they feel like, I'm not the right guy for them, they can just tell me, instead of telling me, they're gonna think about it, just not to hurt my feelings. So what do you think about that one? Can we say it in the bio presentation too?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and still telling me you have to think about it. Just tell me it's not the right match.
Right.
And I'm okay with that because I don't want you to. And depending on who you talk to, could be depending on how you deliver that. I love that, right? Because with a high I or a high S, I go, hey, look, I know it's about the right relationship, and I wouldn't want to burden you with, calling you back or you having to worry about explaining things to me or hurting
Right.
my feelings or not feeling like you're in the right relationship. And what I certainly like. I completely understand. So if at any time it doesn't feel right, I's and S's. Hey, look, if anytime you already know and it doesn't make sense, D's and I's, then look, it's okay to just tell me instead of saying like you'll think about it, like you just be straightforward with me. and just get to the bottom line. And I appreciate, you know, you being honest and straightforward. High D's, high I's. Yeah, I love that, Anush. I love it.
Okay.
Good points. Really, really good points.
Yeah, it's been very helpful. Thank you, Javier.
Thank you, Javier. Thank you,
No,
Javier.
thank you guys.
Okay, next seller presentation by Anush on the 22nd. Otherwise, you guys have a great week. The conversation is the relationship.